CNN is, I don't want to say they are on their way out, but there is some things to take into consideration here. Let me break that down. So the benefit of the last, well, not the last 5 years, I think it's kind of ended it now, but definitely with the implementation or introduction of Trump entering politics. So you're talking 2015-ish, 2014, 2015, going to 2016. CNN, among other things, and I don't think these guys realized it at the time, got an extreme boost that was only going to be temporary, okay? Because they were able to cover this man. You had Twitter that was going to be on its way out. Trump was funneling a lot of comments and made it interesting for people to be on Twitter. You see where Twitter is at right now. CNN is the same thing, as well as it's a double whammy for, I guess, CNN, because that sort of milquetoast leftist, standard leftist position and coverage is not in itself even attractive, right? So they don't do it. It's not really conducive to have that as your sort of methodology or whatever it is, business structure or plan anyway. But especially now that Trump's not in office, you don't have that basically boost that you had before that was attributed not to you. You just benefited from it. So now they are in a tough spot because they don't have that to latch on to, and just their general approach isn't necessarily interesting. The model in itself is outdated. CNN was griping about this before I covered, with Brian Stelter, and I can't remember the other guy's name, who was just basically mad at YouTubers that people are valuing the positions and the coverage of people from YouTube more than they are watching CNN morning show, and they took issue because they look at themselves as, well, we are the legitimate source of information, so they need to be going to us, and if they don't go to us, it's a problem. So apparently, apparently, according to insiders, there's going to be, and I know CNN is actually about to go through this, or I don't know if they've gone through it or the steps are being taken as far as this transfer process of ownership and all of that. Nonetheless, CNN may be going through some cuts here. As covered by Axios here, the investment and projections for CNN Plus are expected to be cut dramatically in response to low adoption rate, two sources tell Axios. And by the numbers, the news giant was initially planning to invest around $1 billion in the services, the CNN Plus service, over the next 4 years. Hundreds of millions of dollars are expected to be cut from that original investment. To date, around $300 million has been spent on the subscription service. The new company's leadership still has yet to decide the ultimate fate of CNN Plus. CNN's new boss, Chris Licht, will start May 1st. So, details. CNN executives, with help of consulting firm McKinsey, originally expected to bring in around 2 million subscribers in the U.S. in the service first year, and 15 to 18 million in the next 4 years. Ooh, they really are overestimating their influence there. They say they originally planned for the service to break even after 4 years, which I've told you guys about companies, man, and how they operate. They will take their losses initially if it means that they're going to make money in the future. This happens across so many different industries in business, and a lot of people don't seem to understand that. Much of the subscriber opportunity executives see comes from international markets. Sources say those subscriber expectations will need to be dramatically reduced if investment is cut. Yes, but in the U.S. yesterday, CNN launched on Roku, one of the largest smart TV companies in the country, which should help boost subscriber numbers. Hiring has been frozen at Warner Media in the past 6 weeks, and this has been felt at CNN. One top executive notes that there is a sense of confusion internally as to why CNN didn't push back the launch of CNN Plus after the Discovery merger. The launch felt rushed in order to stake a claim over the service and the network's future ahead of the merger. What's next is unclear. Top CNN Plus executives like CNN Plus boss Andrew Morse will continue to stay with the company if resources for the services are dramatically reduced or cut. And we talked about that before, about this Discovery merger and all of that and what those moving parts look like and what that's going to be. I don't know. It's hard to say. Uncertainty certainly is there. Uncertainty certainly. But CNN Plus, man, it's not a look, man. You're entering into a marketplace that you're not needed in at all. So often these guys overestimate their influence and power. How many people actually listen to or rather value their position? This is what happens when you definitely have an approach that, okay, the mass majority, even if it's internationally, the people that are going to be customers of you aren't a lot of people with capital. If you can't nail those contracts with like airports and stuff like that, and you're just totally depending on the individual to reach in their own individual pocket, which is basically what these subscription services are doing. Reach into their own pocket and say, okay, bam, here's my money that I'm now exchanging with you, and I want this service. Marketing to people that don't have capital, which is where they slant towards these weird leftists who don't got no money. That was never a good business decision. They might go under. I'm not going to say they're going to go under. I'm not going to predict that they are, but they might. It's certainly well within reality at minimum. With this merger, that's often what happens that takes place. I think those first couple of years of when it's officialized, I know the new boss starts in the next month. The next couple of years are going to be so telling of what direction they're going to go with CNN. Because you got new leadership, you got new people coming in, and they're in the business of making money. And is this a lucrative venture? We are going to see, but it's going to be interesting to keep up with. So as long as they got to compete with guys that, you know, a lot of folks streaming in their freaking studios, man, not those high dollar studios that they got and had access to, because they're just overproduced trash at this point. Definitely the Opine. With the opinion stuff, man, you can get that anywhere. Why would you need to subscribe to CNN to get that? You can get that anywhere. So we'll see what happens. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on YouTube.com/YoungRipper59 and Odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, EricDJuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.